Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday, Inspire. I'm Reverend Amina Bliss, and I'm so happy to be with you all today. What a blessing that we get to join together on Zoom. And we are a global community. We have people from all over the world. We have people in Los Angeles. We have people in San Francisco. We have people in Colombia. Where else are you coming from today? Would you put in the chat where you are? We'd love to welcome you. So we have a special service today. We have a main teaching by Reverend Alfreda Lanoix, and our guest speaker is Reverend Hector Castrillon. And the topic is Let It Fall Away, which we're all so excited about because just releasing is so healing. So we're ready to let it fall away. Usually on second Sundays, we have Reverend Alfreda speak, and on fourth Sundays, Reverend Jesse Brune Horan speaks, but we change it up this month just to keep you on your toes. And so we have Reverend Frida today, and we will be back on regular schedule next month with Reverend Frida on November 14th. And on November 28th, we have a special service, which is our kickoff for Giving Tuesday. And we're going to have dueling ministers with Reverend Jesse and Reverend Candace G. So looking forward to that. Please join us. And Giving Tuesday is a global day of giving. And we had such an amazing Giving Tuesday last year that we're doing it again. And we had some incredible thank you gifts that our sponsors and congregants provided. And if you have retail gift cards or restaurant gift cards that you have access to that you would be willing to donate to Inspire, we'd really appreciate it so that we can give our donors thank you gifts. So please let me know if you have anything, if you'd like to donate, or if you know somebody who would. We greatly appreciate it. We also are in need of, we're not in need of anything. We would love to have more volunteers. We have an amazing Sunday service committee, which includes Garrick, Casey, and Tom Hennessy, who's not here today. He's traveling with family. But we bring the service to you on second and fourth Sundays, and we could use a couple more hands. So if there's anybody who's really good at doing Zoom meetings or things like that and wants to join in, we'd love to have you. So just let us know. Also want to let you know that we have a prayer ministry. And if you have a prayer request, we would love to support you and keep you lifted in prayer. You just email us at office@inspirespiritualcommunity.org. Or there's a button on your email that you received that you just click on that and it'll send an email with your prayer requests. We are here for you all the time. So thank you. And if you're new for the first time, we have a blessing that we offer for you. And so we're just going to rub our hands together, lift them to you, and we say, welcome to Inspire. We know who you are. You are a beautiful and unique way. The divine is expressing itself on the planet. We see you, we love you, and we welcome you home. Welcome to Inspire. So let's get started with our opening meditation. If you get yourself comfortable and allow your eyes to gently close, uncross your arms and legs, and just make yourself an open channel available for spirit. We take a deep breath in, a deep breath of love and gratitude, and gently exhaling everything that came before this moment. And another long, slow, deep breath in. And gently let it go. And let us imagine together a bright white light rotating clockwise in the center of your chest. This ball of light is about the size of a tennis ball, and as you place your attention on it, it begins to expand, filling your chest, white light, moving up past your shoulders, filling your head, flowing down your arms into your hands and fingers. Beautiful white light expanding, filling your torso, moving into your hips, your legs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, feet, and toes. Your entire physical body is one with this light. Every bone, every muscle, every organ, every cell, atom, and electron of your being soaked and saturated in this brilliant, beautiful white light. This light is restorative, it's rejuvenating, it raises your vibration to its natural state, the high frequency of divine love. Just take a moment to feel the effects of this light on your physical body. The light continues to expand beyond the body into the auric field, creating an orb of light 3 feet all around you. And the light continues to expand, filling the room that you're in, flooding out into the street, filling your neighborhood, expanding to your city, your state, your country, your continent, seeping into the ocean and instantaneously enveloping the entire planet, uniting every living being. And let's take a moment in silence to feel this light, to share the light, to share love and send love to ourselves, each other, and everyone. Mother, Father, God, divine love, all that there is, how grateful I am for this moment right here, right now, joined with my beloved community, the Inspire Spiritual Community. So grateful to be together to share a message of love, of peace, of hope, and of freedom, of joy. We bless this service. We know that it is perfect. We know that Spirit speaks through us and as us. That every word shared is blessed and received with love, with openness. And so we just release now anything that would keep us from being fully present here and now. We let go of anything that no longer serves us. And we stand in the truth of our divinity. We stand in our true nature of love, of peace, of joy, of freedom, of wholeness. We remember that we are abundance. We are love. We know this for ourselves and for each other and for every living being because we are one. In grace and gratitude, I release this word. I allow it to be, and so it is. I'm so grateful to bring up now Reverend Garrick Angel for our mission statement. Garrick?
Thank you so much, Amina, and thank you everyone for being here. So as the mission statement comes up on your screen, I invite you to remain muted, but go ahead and speak it with purpose. Join me as I read the mission statement. Inspire is a spiritual community of like-minded souls committed to walking our talk in joyous fellowship by demonstrating the power of love, compassion, and non-judgment every day in every way. Recognizing the divinity of all life, we stand united by actively liberating humanity by healing judgment, fear, and shame within ourselves. Our intention to create world peace, piece by piece. Woohoo! Fantastic. And with that upon our hearts, it is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Hector Castrillon, one of our very own Inspire ministers. Hector, take it away.
Namaste, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Great. So we are going to talk today about this idea of letting things fall away. And I was talking to Reverend Amina, and I was saying that this is such an important conversation in my life. It's a practice, and it really defines who I am as a human being. You know, in my own journey, when I think about my past and where I am today, I've really come to the understanding that non-attachment is key in getting the life that I want, which is such an irony, because non-attachment is, for me, the key of getting the life that I want. So it's not about trying hard. It's about allowing myself to be connected with God and spirit and be able to take the actions that I need to take from that point of view. For many, many years, there was a temptation to believe that letting things fall away was actually a difficult thing to do. And to my ego, that was always true, because the ego is the whole idea of the sacrifice, right? Our ego is in a constant fight for us to take the long way to peace and joy. So every time that I try to stay in alignment with God's will for me, my ego will always reroute me to a more difficult situation. But when I think about my own life, and I am really, really honest with myself, I can recognize so many situations where I should have ended things sooner and I didn't. I stay in those situations because of fear. And there are so many. And and then comes the greatest teacher of all, which is life. And it forces you to make that decision anyway, because the pain of staying in those situations is way bigger than any fear that you may have. And at that point, you don't have any other choice but to let it fall away. So, I knew I should have ended that toxic relationship in my 20s that literally brought me down to my knees. But I didn't, because it was easier for me to allow the abuse than to confront the idea that I just didn't feel worthy of love and respect at that point in time. I should have ended working for that bully literally 5 days into the job. I knew 5 days in the job that job was not for me. But I chose to stay miserable for 1.5 years, because that was easier than accepting the fact that I never learned to establish boundaries for myself. So the feeling of being bullied was something that I was able to recognize. And that put me in that situation. So I knew it, and yet I stayed until I burned out. And then at that point, I didn't have a choice but to let go. So I wish that I could say that this skill came naturally to me, but it didn't. It came through a lot of pain and tears. But today is a fundamental part of my commitment with God. So if you are like me, you understand that spirituality is a way that I express in the world, right? So I try not to be very cliche, but I really use spirituality as a way of testing things in my life. And it is important to me to remain an active participant in the creative process of life, right? So when I am trying to explore this conversation, I'm always asking myself basically 4 things. The first thing that I'm always asking myself is, am I getting my needs met? Not in some kind of selfish way, but if we are in relationship with someone, if we are in a job, if we're doing something, there is some kind of needs that we need to have for things to continue to nourish our souls, right? So I'm always asking myself, where I am, is it meeting my needs? And if not, then there has to be some information that leads me to believe that in the future it will. Otherwise, I just let things fall away. The second thing that I always ask myself, and this is the most important question to me, is, am I giving up or am I giving in? Am I giving up in the relationship? Am I giving up in the job? Am I giving up in the situation because I just don't have the courage to make it happen? Or am I giving in because there is a recognition within myself that I just took a path that was not going to take me anywhere? And it's time for me to reroute my GPS. The third question that I ask myself is, am I stuck in the relationship or the job or the situation because of fear? And there are 3 fears that in my life are very familiar. The first fear is the fear of missing out. I have to work in this company because it is the it company to work for. I have to be in this relationship because this person is really good. So like that fear of missing out oftentimes makes me make decisions that are not consistent with my happiness. The second fear is the fear that this is it. That if I'm in my 40s and I let go of this relationship, I'm not going to have another relationship. And then the last fear is the fear that I am not worthy of something better. And because I'm not worthy of something better, then I just stay. And then finally, I always ask myself, what is my intention to stay? Like, why am I here? Am I in this relationship because I truly feel that no one else is going to be with me? Because I'm not worthy of getting the respect that I deserve, the love that I want? And if my intention is not in alignment with what I believe my life wants to be, then at that point in time, the loving thing to do with myself is to allow those things to fall away. But again, it requires that I am in tune with the part of myself that knows the truth. Because the ego will always want to show me the sacrifice. The ego will always want to show me the fear, right? So I have to be connected with that part that says, you deserve better, you're better than this, just make the decision that something else will show for you. And then the last thing that I want to say is the other thing that I do very intentionally is to prepare myself for the process of detachment with the same commitment that I prepare myself for the process of attachment. I am very intentional. And I do three things. The first thing that I do is to make sure that I am able to take care of myself. Whether it is financially, I go into saving mode. Whether it is personal, I reach out to my network of friends, make sure that they understand what I'm doing, but always make sure that as I go through the process of detaching myself from a situation, I'm able to take care of myself. The second thing that I do is to forgive myself for allowing the situation. But I bless the situation because it was my creation. And in that creation, it showed me something. Doesn't mean that I have to be there forever, but it gave me a mirror that allowed me to see myself. And then the last thing that I do is to give thanks for the learning. Oftentimes, I work in learning to love the process, even if sometimes the process feels like going backwards. Because where it takes me is to a place of recognizing that, oh my God, Hector, there is so much work that you need to do. And without the experience, I would just bypass everything. It wouldn't allow me to actually try to continue to improve myself into the process and the person that I want to be. And you know what I recognize about me is that when I do those things, mindfully, then I come to a place of peace and joy and I feel better. And oftentimes the idea of who I wanted to be or who I saw myself to be is completely transformed into something different that gives me joy and peace and freedom, which I learned through time that ultimately that's what I want. So that is my process right now. Like, how do I try to stay consistent with my desire for freedom in life? And anything that doesn't contribute to that, I just let it fall away. So thank you, everybody. And I think the next person that is going to be speaking is a powerhouse, somebody that I love and respect so much. And every time that she speaks and talks, my heart just opens. And I always live with so much learning from her. So Reverend Frida, I think it's your time.
Hector, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Listen, I mean, really, I think you covered it all. I can really just say amen, God bless you, and call it a day and still get paid. And still get paid, though. Still want my money, Garrett. You were amazing. And for those who might not know, Hector is the one that is really responsible because he was the one who stepped up or stepped to me and said, we kind of want you to do such and such a thing. And I often say, how can you turn down Hector? Because he's so sweet and so kind and so loving. So it's just such an honor to have you today and to speak on this day with me. So I'm really excited. Releasing and letting go, releasing, let it all fall away. And I always say that whenever I get a topic or a subject from Inspire, it always seems to be right on time for me. That's how the universe works. Whatever it is that you need, if you're open, your answer is always there if you're able to get out of the way. Like Hector said, the ego, because the ego, it wants to control, it's not open, it wants you to stay with what you are familiar with. Because something about when you are familiar with something, it makes you feel safe. But we know the uncomfortability of being safe. So releasing, letting it all fall away. Now it says whether it's the job, the party, a relationship, knowing when to leave is so important. Now listen to this. Contrary to popular opinion, quitting is for winners. Woo! Should I say that again? Come on now. Contrary to popular opinion, quitting is for winners. Because you got to know when to quit, change direction, leave a toxic situation, demand more from life, give up on something that wasn't working for you, move on. You know, sometimes it's moving time. And sometimes it's difficult for us to move on because we've invested. And we don't want to be wrong. I don't want to think that I chose wrong again. I don't want to think that I picked the wrong partner again. I like to think that this time I've learned something, I've evolved, and I'm choosing different. But sometimes it's time to move on. When something is not working, they said it is a very important skill that people who win at life all seem to have that. Kenny Rogers said, you got to know when to hold them. Come on, girl. You know, Anna, and know when to what? Let that stuff go. Let that person go. Let that job go. Because see, when you are in a situation that is not for your highest good, it doesn't serve you anyhow. I've had jobs that paid 6 figures and I was miserable, I was suicidal, I was happy on Friday, and I was depressed Sunday night. I used to drive the bus for RTD for Metro. And when I first got the job, I loved it. And you would get on, I would say, good morning, how are you today? By the end of the 15 years, honey, it wasn't no good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. Because you know when it's time to go. You know when it's time to go. And even though I was making what they call pretty good money for that time, the money didn't serve me because I was buying stuff. I was a shopaholic because I needed to do other things to make me feel good, to satisfy that instant, gratification for continuing to put myself in a situation that I know was not for my highest good. Something Hector said that was so important too. It's so important the company you keep. Everybody is not healthy enough to have a front row seat in your life. You got to know, because when you get to that crossroad and everything is telling you it's time to move on, and you reach out to your friends and you say, you know, this is what I'm feeling. I'm suicidal. This job is really getting me down. And I can remember going to my mom and said, I don't know if I can continue on this job. I'm depressed. I'm not enjoying myself. But because of her own oppression, she said, girl, you better not leave that good job. She ignored I'm oppressed. She ignored I'm depressed. She ignored I'm suicidal. She ignored I have no joy, because those are the things that she didn't have in her life. So you got to know when to let this stuff fall away, because life is constant change. That's what life is all about. A lot of us are trying to pursue happiness. It's not about pursuing happiness. It's about pursuing those things that give us that joy from within, wisdom, so that we can evolve, so that we can grow. And let me tell you, when you take that as your lead instead of happiness, happiness becomes the byproduct that will be in your life. But when you're pursuing happiness, because happiness depends on what's happening. But when you pursue, like, what's going to challenge me? What's a new experience? How can I evolve in life? What's going to make me grow? What's another adventure I can embark upon? Woo, that's a whole different direction. falling away from something or someone that no longer serves us or our highest good. In other words, we need to learn how to set boundaries in our lives. For so many years, I had no boundaries. You know why? Because I was a caretaker. And when you're a caretaker, you measure your value by what you are doing for others. Who I am and how I defined myself was, how could I serve you and you and you? Those of us that are in ministry, it is not a coincidence that we're in ministry, because a lot of times we're predators, and the predator is that we're so empty inside and we need to feel fulfillment. And so what we do is we serve and we give, because let me tell you, when you're giving, if you're giving from a space of a full cup, it's a whole different experience. But when you're giving from a space of an empty cup, you don't set boundaries. You don't know when to hold it. You don't know when to let it go. You don't know when to release. Listen, you can't save these people. You'll lose yourself, honey. People will make you lose your mind. You have to set boundaries. You have to say to yourself, okay, so, why am I connected? What has drawn me to be able? Because it's okay to give. It's okay to open up doors. It's okay to create opportunities for people. But when you're giving from a space or giving from where it is that you don't have to give, you have not set boundaries from yourself, and you are being driven by emptiness. You are being driven by a dark hole inside of you. You're being driven by somebody telling you you were not going to be anything. You're being driven by somebody saying that you're no good, and you try to live up to that. You're being driven by the wrong things. And when you're being driven, you're not driving. And there's a difference between being driven and driving, changing directions. This no longer serves me. This no longer feels good to my spirit, to my soul. I must choose my birthright. Peace, joy, love from within. What makes you hold on even when you know it's time to let go? You can't go with the flow. What makes you hold on? You know it. You feel it. You're suicidal. You can't eat. You have no peace of mind. You know without a doubt that this is no longer serving me. This is no longer the relationship that I should be in. I need to move on. What makes us hold on? One of the things is that we have a tendency to romanticize the experience. The feeling that it once gave us. Some of us, we get in relationships, and like Hector said, 5 days into it, that maybe this is not the place for you. Like, this is not it. You get into a relationship and you know that this is really not the partner for you. But you stay and you build on sinking sand. And even though it's time to go, you think about, you romanticize and say, well, she did love me at one time, or it wasn't that bad. Or when it was good. We think about when it was good, although right now it's not good. But that's why we stay. We think sometimes that we will never, ever find that experience again. And so we stay in uncomfortable situations. Another reason why we stay is the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown. Our control, our ego. We want a guarantee. And life does not come with a guarantee. I love living in the I don't know. I love it. When you see who I am in the I don't know, because in the I don't know, it's where I discover parts of who I am. Because if you know everything, then there's no room for growth. There's no room for change. There's no room to evolve. There's no room to have different experiences. I love it. Situation appears. I immediately go to, I don't know. I am open. And when you're open, the universe, because it's free will, it doesn't force anything on us. The universe says, okay, she's open. And when you open, the experiences you get, you can't even in your mind imagine what it is that you have to bring to the universe. You can't even imagine. Some of us are stuck on a page back in 1962. We haven't turned that page. Something in 62 happened, and we just try to live that over and over. And here it is, 2021 saying, look, I got some more stuff from you. And you're like, no. Sometimes it's hard for us to let it fall away because of the mental laziness. That's why some of us are followers. We don't want to figure it out. We don't want to focus. We don't want to meditate. We don't want to take out time for ourselves. We don't want to discover who we are. We've given all our stuff to helping other people, to helping them find a way. But when it comes to us, our value, we don't value ourselves enough to put in the work that we need to discover who we are. The mental laziness, because we're tired. We're exhausted emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And we are exhausted simply because we've not taken the time out to discover what feeds my soul. What feeds my soul? What makes me have that mental rest and peace in my mind? Some of us are so connected to the struggle. If it's not hard, it's not good. You know, some of us come from, our parents that, life is hard and you got to give it your all. And listen, and especially as Black people, we were taught, you got to give more, do more, be more. You got to be seen and not heard, even as a little kid. Okay, we going out here. Don't you act no fool. I don't want the people to see you acting a fool. And so even though you couldn't even mentally relax, you were like, ooh, you were on guard. As a little kid, you couldn't even express yourself. And so you grow up with that mentality. I was talking to my partner, and she was telling me about her, and she was telling me about her coworker that, they're working and giving. And I said, that's what we do. And especially as women, we're so conditioned. We just could not work and come home. When we got off from work, we had a whole nother 8-10 hours waiting on us before we could even get to ourselves to say, I'm tired. We were not afforded the opportunity to be tired. I have a friend now that takes a nap, and every time she was like, I feel so guilty. I said, girl, you 80-some years old. If you can't take a nap then, when the hell can you take a nap and not feel guilty? See, listen, slave mentality You know, you be thinking just because you Black, but that touches all of us, because the moment you are working, and you can't even mentally allow yourself time to rest, because there's always something else to do. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What else holds us, keeps us? Not feeling that you deserve happiness or joy. So you continue to suffer because that's all you know. That's your environment. If it's hard, if it's not hard, it's not worth your time. And we become comfortable in the struggle. People thought I was crazy. Listen, when I used to work for Minority AIDS Project, and we would do a big fundraiser every year. Do a big fundraiser, and we raise all these thousands of dollars for people, for our organization, for people living with AIDS and people living with HIV, so that we could be able to continue to serve them and offer them opportunities. And every year, somebody would get up and they would like, you know, on behalf of Minority AIDS Project, we just want to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your donation. And then after all the thank you, they would end it with, see you next year in the struggle. So now you just dismissed all the stuff that you've done. You just miss all the thought, and you do that for you do that in your own personal life. You accomplish, you know, you go to AA or CA or NA or whatever A. You're moving forward. You work through some fears. You let some people go. And before you celebrate that, you'll be like, well, okay, I know I did that, but I'm still in the struggle. So why would the universe want to continue to give you opportunities and open doors when you don't really recognize it, when you don't really appreciate it? Because why? You're still in the struggle. Because why? Your environment has taught you it's got to be hard. Because why? You have to be the sacrificial lamb. The day I chose myself, oh my goodness. The day I chose myself, oh my godness. It was my children that I've always been there for, that I made a commitment. I'm here. You need me? You got me. You can stand on my shoulders. You can stand on my back, whatever. And then one day I was like, wait a minute. His life belongs to him. I'm not going to continue to pay over and over again because I brought you into the world. Because, you know, some people will make you feel guilty. You're supposed to. You my mama. Yeah, but only up to a certain point, my brother. Because my life belongs to me. And it is my responsibility to make the choices for myself. Choose you sometimes. Get familiar with it. It's going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning. You're going to feel a little selfish in the beginning because we've been used to making us feel guilty if something is good for us. Because it's not about you. It's about what you do for others. Choose yourself, because when you choose yourself, then you have something to give. But if you don't, you're giving from an empty glass and you just continue. Conversations with God said, I'll keep showing up until you get it. It's not even personal. It's not even being judgmental. I'm not calling you bad. I'm just saying you need to get this so that you can continue on the journey. But now if you don't get it, you don't get it when it's a teardrop, then I'm going to keep coming, and then eventually it's a hill. And then if you don't really get it when it's a hill, then it becomes a mountain. Like Hector said, you didn't get it 5 days ago. So now you're going to have to go through some more stuff, working with this person that's a bully, knowing this is not for your highest good, have some sleepless nights until you get it. But it's never too late to get it. That's the beauty of life. Doesn't hold anything against you. Okay, girl, you're a little slow. Because some of us is a little slow. And it's okay because there's no timeline. Some of us get it at 20. Some of us get it at 40. And some of us get it the next lifetime. I remember, once I kind of got into spirituality and, you be kind of thinking, oh, I got it. This is what it's all about. And then, you try to share with other people. And the spirit said, no, that's not your job. Because this might not be their lifetime to get it. No judgment on nobody. Now, all you can do, that's just like, how when you stop smoking, you've been smoking for 25 years. You enjoyed your cigarettes and you smoked until you couldn't breathe. And then you decide, oh, I need to stop smoking because, I can't breathe anymore. And so then you put the cigarette down. Then you become self-righteous. And you want everybody to stop smoking. That's not how life works. Just like you had the opportunity to choose when you choose, it's the same. Your timeline and love's timeline or God's timeline or the universe's timeline is totally different. And it's okay that everybody might not experience something this lifetime. Trust me, when it is their time. See, you can let things go because when you know if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, I don't care what you do. It will find a way to escape you. Another reason is that we feel that we're not special. We're not good enough to live this life of peace and love. It's your birthright. It is your birthright. Joy is your birthright. See, the thing about joy for me and the difference between joy and happiness is something you pursue. It's external. It's on the outside. And I often say you could go to Disneyland and still not be happy. And that's supposed to be the happiest place on earth. But joy dresses up different. Joy is not caught up with the external. Joy doesn't care whether you have gray hair, black hair, or no hair. Joy is an inside situation. Joy is when I wake up in the morning and open my eyes and I hear the birds sing. Joy is when I fix myself a cup of coffee and it's the best coffee that I've ever had. Joy is when I get in, take a shower, and it's a brand new day and I got the opportunity, free will to choose how I'm going to spend my day. Joy is being with myself. Ooh, when you can be with yourself, when you like yourself. See, love is unconditional. Love just is. I can love every last one of you here today. I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to do nothing. Love just is. But like is different. Like comes with conditions. And a lot of times we get joy and like, love and like confused. We think that we love the person that we with, but we don't like them. We love ourselves, but we don't like ourselves. We don't like the choices that we've made. We don't like the inside. We don't like that we thought that at 66 years old, we would be further down the road. Things would be different. My life would be together. What is together? You didn't come here to get your life together. You came here to experiment and experience life. You didn't come here to get your life together. There's no together. What's together? What is together? You came here without a manual. You came here through many different experiences. You know, I have a book that's called Go to Hell. And the thing that I wrote in that book, my first chapter was realizing that I didn't come here through the greatest love story ever told. It wasn't about my mom met my dad, they fell in love and they couldn't wait. And all of a sudden, oh my goodness, here's this beautiful little, beautiful Black baby girl. No, that was not the story. That was not the story. Because it doesn't matter how you got here. What matters is what you do once you're here. Everybody can't love you the way you need and desire to be loved, because only you can do that for yourself. Whew. What makes us stay in situations? Desperation. What makes us stay in situations is that we refuse to believe that we've invested so much and we're not going to get a return. Because most of us, everything we do, we invest because we want a return. The moment I say, I love you, I want to hear you say, I love you too. See, I want a return. But when I can say, I love you, and that's all that's to it, then that means I'm free. But most of us live our lives. We are conditioned. Society has conditioned us. We have been taught the more you have, the more you accumulate, the more stuff is that represents success. That represents somehow you made it. And then you got to hold on to all this stuff. And then you got, child, let it go. Woo. Now, I'm just going to close on this. I just want to give you a few tips or insights on tools that will help you to let it fall away. Number one, remind yourself, I am letting go to make room for more. I am letting go to simply make room for more, because that's letting you know that the source is never dry. The source is never dry. The source is continuous, and you are connected to the source. So when you're holding on, you can't make room to let it go so that you can be open to the possibilities of experiencing a new life. Number two, learn to embrace what's true, not romanticize. But reality is, it is what it is. And when you can accept it is what it is without a judgment call, that is the seed of growth, because you're accepting your truth. Next is, I need to know my own worth. Do you know what you are worth? Do you know how worthy you really are? And it has just nothing to do with your title. It has nothing to do with the job or the praise or the recognition. Because listen, people are fickle. Society is fickle. You see it over and over again. You're only as good as the last time you won. They said it was a guy that every time they would bring him, he was a pinch hitter, and every time they bring him up to the bat, he would hit, it would be a home run, and everybody. And then the one time that he got up there and he struck out, and they said, I can't believe you let us down. That's how people are. But when you know your own worth, your worth is not based off your salary. It's not based off the color of your skin. It's not based off your sexuality. It's not based off your gender, where you live, where you came from, or where you're going. You're just simply valuable. You're valuable because you're here. Out of all the sperms and all of the eggs, those two got together to create you. You're valuable. Oh, you're more precious than gold. And if you understood that and accepted that, your choices would reflect that. Another thing, and this kind of goes back to what Hector said, having a willingness to disturb that you are familiar with. Familiarity sometimes holds us because guess what? I don't have to think. I know, even if I'm in an abusive relationship, even if there's some domestic violence, well, wait a minute, I know what strings to pull. I know what strings not to pull. I know how to tiptoe around the situation. I know how to maybe not aggravate him or make him. No, we become familiar with things. And just because we're familiar with it doesn't mean that it's serving our highest good. And last but not least, trusting yourself. Learning how to trust yourself. What you feel is real. Hector said it 5 days in. He knew it. He felt it. Think about that. When we can really trust what we feel. Listen, when I meet people and they cross my energy and there's something that I feel regarding that particular person, I trust that. I don't ignore my feelings. And if you don't trust your feelings, you can always question them. Say, well, where is this coming from? Is this coming from love or is this coming from my fear? It will give you the answer. You have your intuition. You have your insight. Like Hector said, you have a built-in GPS, but we don't even trust it. I've been in the car going somewhere and my GPS, I was like, no, I'm not, and got lost. Sometimes we get lost with the answer. Ooh, because I wasn't familiar. I was like, no, usually I turn the other way. No, trust what you feel. It will never, ever lead you wrong. And even if it looks like maybe, trust it. Because in the bigger picture, it's always for your highest good. Trust what you feel. When you're dating someone and you're out to dinner and they're across the table and they're speaking and you're open and you're listening and they say something that like, what? You know, nobody has ever really loved me. And you go, oh, that doesn't really sound like a healthy conversation. Trust that. Because what they're saying to you is, no one has ever loved me because I'm loveless and you can try if you want to. Trust what you feel. If it's meant to be, it will. If it won't, don't force it, don't convince it, and don't worry over it. Flow with it. Let it be. Let it go. You will attract that will serve your highest good if you have room and let it go. So, in my closing, let it go, let it flow, release it. If it no longer is for your highest good, you have within you whatever it is that you need in order for you to create the reality that serves you. Wherever you are is where you have chosen to be. But the thing about it is that you're not stuck. You can choose again and again and again because the source is never, ever dry. Let it go, let it flow, let it go. God bless you. Thank you.